You ever notice how the American dream sounds less like a dream and more like a sales pitch? They call it the land of opportunity, but most people can't afford to buy the opportunity package. It's a premium subscription now. You grow up pledging allegiance to the flag, told that hard work and good manners will open doors. But what they don't tell you is that the door opens right into a room full of bills, credit card offers, and a lifetime of low monthly payments. Somewhere along the line, freedom got a price tag and success came with an interest rate. George Carlin saw it for what it was. A con so good, people lined up to participate. He said the dream only works if you're asleep, and man, he wasn't kidding. Because if you're awake, if you're paying attention, you start noticing how this big shining dream has potholes the size of student debt. You're told to chase success, buy the house, raise the kids, pay your taxes, and wave the flag. But somewhere between your first job and your fifth urgent overdue notice, you start to wonder, was the dream always supposed to be this exhausting? The genius of Carlin wasn't just that he saw the cracks in the system. It's that he made them funny. He knew laughter was the only way to survive the absurdity. When he joked about America being one big club, and you ain't in it, he wasn't being cynical, he was being accurate. The club has fancy suits, corporate logos, and just enough fireworks every July to distract everyone else from checking the price of milk. We salute the flag while the cost of living salutes back with a middle finger. The Dream's marketing department works overtime. They've got slogans like "Land of the Free" printed on shirts made in countries that aren't free, and "Support our troops" bumper stickers on cars people still owe 5 years of payments on. The illusion is patriotic. It's red, white, and really well branded. Every commercial, every politician, every shiny, it tells you you're living the dream. But if you're living the dream, why does it feel like you're the one being dreamed up by someone else's accountant? Carlin loved pointing out that America isn't really about freedom. It's about ownership. You don't own your home, the bank does. You don't own your car, the finance company does. You don't even own your thoughts for long before an ad tries to rent space in your brain. Own less or more should have been the new national motto. Yet we keep smiling, keep working, keep believing that one day, with just enough effort, we'll finally make it. Make what? Another payment? And let's talk about that flag. Red, white, and blue, baby! Red for the bills, white for the lies. blue for the mood you're in. When the rent's due, we treat the flag like a holy symbol, but somewhere deep down, Carlin must have laughed knowing that most people salute it from behind a cubicle wall. The American dream was supposed to be a place of freedom and equality, but it's turned into a full-time job, just trying to keep up. We've got people working 60 hours a week just to afford cable television so they can watch shows about rich people pretending to be middle class. But the real trick is how beautifully the dream sells itself. You're told that if you just stay positive, work harder, and maybe buy that self-help book, you'll get there. You'll achieve happiness, success, and maybe even a yacht named tax deduction. Yet the more you chase it, the more it drifts away. It's like a treadmill powered by hope. And the moment you stop running, someone behind you says, "Hey, look at that quitter!" Doesn't believe in the dream. Carlin had this uncanny ability to hold a mirror up to America and say, "Look, folks, this is you." Not in a mean way, just honest. He made people laugh while secretly handing them a flashlight to see through the fog. He knew the system wasn't broken. It was working exactly as designed. If everyone's broke, tired, and too busy to question anything, then congratulations, the dream is alive and well. It's just living in someone else's mansion. Think about the education system. We spent 12 years teaching kids how to sit still, obey bells, and memorize slogans, and then we act surprised when adults sit in traffic, obey deadlines, and repeat corporate mission statements. That's not an accident. That's training. We don't raise dreamers anymore. We manufacture workers who dream on weekends. And if they get lucky, maybe they can afford a 2-day escape called vacation, where they post happy photos before returning to the grind Monday morning. Carlin's comedy was rebellion, disguised as laughter. He saw that the American dream had turned into a clever trap, and instead of yelling about it, he made it funny. Because when you can laugh at something, it loses power over you. He wanted people to wake up, to realize that freedom doesn't come from a paycheck or a politician. It comes from seeing the illusion for what it is. He wanted people to stop confusing being busy with being free. The dream was supposed to be about opportunity, not obligation. But here we are, generations deep into a system that convinces you that owning more stuff equals being more successful. It's not a dream anymore, it's a catalog. Buy now, pay later, dream eventually. And when you finally get everything you thought you wanted, you realize the fine print said, no refunds, no satisfaction guaranteed. Carlin had this way of cutting through the noise. No charts, no PowerPoint slides, just truth. He'd stand there, smirk a little, and tell you what you already suspected, but were too afraid to admit. He said, "They call it the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it." And the audience would laugh, but deep down, they knew it wasn't just a joke. It was a confession. Maybe that's what makes his message so timeless. The dream keeps changing costumes, but the script stays the same. Work harder, buy more, question less. But Carlin invited us to rewrite it, to see that real freedom isn't about owning the most toys before you die. It's about not needing them to begin with. It's about waking up, laughing at the absurdity, and realizing that maybe the dream was never lost. It was just waiting for us to stop snoring. So tonight, let's wake up. Let's laugh, not because everything's fine, but because laughter is how we start to see clearly again. The flag still waves, the slogans still sell, and the dream still sparkles in the distance. But maybe it's time we stop chasing it and start living something real. Because if the American dream only works when you're asleep, then maybe it's time we wake up and start dreaming with our eyes open. You know, for a country that loves to brag about freedom, it's funny how so many people seem chained to their credit scores. Somewhere along the line, the American dream got a new motto: buy now, believe later. It's not red, white, and blue anymore. It's red, white, and owed. George Carlin saw this long before anyone else. He looked around and realized the dream had been repossessed. It's still in the brochure, still on the commercials, but in real life, it's sitting in a warehouse somewhere marked payment overdue. You ever notice how everything in America comes with a payment plan? You can finance your car, your house, your phone, even your lunch, if you swipe the right card. You don't actually own anything. You just rent the privilege of pretending you do. It's like a national costume party where everyone dresses up as financially stable. You wave your little plastic wand, press approve, and poof, you're in debt for 5 years. Freedom isn't free, baby. It's a $29.99 a month with interest. Carlin had this sharp eye for economic irony. He didn't need Wall Street reports to see the scam. He could just listen to the language. Credit, debt, payments, opportunity. All those words sound empowering until you realize they're just synonyms for "you owe us." Who knew the chase them was designed to keep people chasing a carrot that gets more expensive every year? No, it gets more expensive every year. The dream says, work hard and you'll get ahead. The fine print says, "But don't stop working or we'll take it all back." And what a show it is. You've got commercials telling you to live your best life while you're one emergency away from borrowing money from your cousin with the suspicious side business. You've got banks sending you letters that start with, "Congratulations," as if going into debt were an accomplishment. "Congratulations, you've been pre-approved for lifetime anxiety." Carlin would have loved that one because he understood that the illusion of prosperity was the real product. People aren't buying stuff. They're buying status. They're buying the feeling that maybe, just maybe, they've made it. But here's the twist. In the land of opportunity, the biggest opportunity is debt. You can't get through life without owing somebody something. You owe the government, the bank, the utility company, the insurance company, and let's not forget your future self. It's like everyone's part of one big, happy pyramid scheme, and the base keeps getting wider. The American economy runs on the idea that you'll stay just hopeful enough to keep spending. That's not a dream. That's an economic magic trick. Carlin used to talk about ownership and how it's all an illusion. You don't own your house. The bank does. You don't own your car. The lender does. You don't even own your paycheck. Taxes and bills take their cut before you ever see it. You just rent your existence from the system and hope you can keep up the payments. It's the great American pastime, financial juggling. And every month, people keep tossing bills in the air, praying none of them hit the floor. He saw through the way people were taught to measure success by how much stuff they could accumulate. Big house, big car, big screen, big stress. You've got people living paycheck to paycheck, but at least they've got a TV so big it blocks out their problems. You can't meditate, but you can stream high definition distractions. The system figured out how to keep everyone entertained while quietly collecting their money. It's genius, really. A standing ovation for capitalism's finest illusion, making people feel rich while keeping them broke. And here's where it gets funny. Well, funny in that tragic, Carlin kind of way. People will defend the very system that keeps them struggling. They'll say things like, "That's just how life is," or "You gotta pay your dues." Pay your dues. The only thing most people are paying is late fees. But they keep believing because the dream doesn't die. It just gets refinanced. Every election, someone comes along and promises to fix the economy, and people clap like it's a magic trick. Fix it. The economy's not broken. It's doing exactly what it's built to do. Keep the powerful rich and the rest hopeful. Carlin had this way of showing how language hides the truth. Trickle down economics. What a phrase! Sounds like a gentle stream of blessings flowing down from the mountaintop. In reality, it's more like someone at the top spilling their drink and calling it generosity. He exposed the word games, the polite disguises that make inequality sound patriotic. Economic freedom, they call it. Sure, freedom for the rich to buy whatever they want, and freedom for everyone else to choose which bill not to pay this month. And it's not that people are lazy or stupid. Far from it. They're just busy surviving. The system keeps everyone working so hard that they don't have time to notice how much it's taking from them. You wake up, go to work, come home, pay bills, maybe grab a fast food dinner. Dinner that costs less than the gas to get there. Then you turn on the TV and watch a commercial telling you how much better your life could be if you bought one more thing. And the loop continues. It's not just economics, it's hypnosis. Carlin would have said, the real joke is how we mistake exhaustion for accomplishment. We're proud of being tired. I worked 60 hours this week. Well, congratulations. You just lived your employer's dream, not yours. Somewhere along the way, we stopped asking what the point of all this effort is. We don't dream anymore. We calculate. We budget. We refinance. We negotiate our happiness down to a manageable monthly payment. The dream didn't vanish. It went into collections. He also loved pointing out that the government's favorite game is pretending to care about the middle class. Oh, they love the middle class. Every politician talks about it like it's an endangered species. We've got to protect the middle class. Protect it from what? From the very policies they pass. It's like a firefighter showing up with a can of gasoline. Meanwhile, the rich have lobbyists and the poor have slogans. The middle class just gets the bill. Carlin knew the secret. The system keeps people divided and distracted so they don't look up. You get the poor blaming immigrants, the middle class blaming the poor, and the rich laughing from the golf course. It's a beautiful setup. Everyone arguing over crumbs while the cake gets carted away. He saw it clearly, and instead of getting bitter, he turned it into comedy gold. Because once you can laugh at it, you've already won a little bit. Laughter doesn't pay the rent, but it reminds you that you're still thinking for yourself. And maybe that's the key, seeing the absurdity for what it is. The economy isn't a mystery, it's a performance. It needs an audience that claps, buys tickets, and believes in the magic. Carlin didn't want people to stop dreaming. He wanted them to stop dreaming on credit. He wanted them to see that real prosperity doesn't come from owning more. It comes from owing less. So yeah, red, white, and broke, living the dream. The slogans still sound good, the ads still sparkle, and the system still hums along, convincing everyone they're one promotion away from paradise. But maybe the real dream, the one Carlin was hinting at, isn't about getting rich or beating the game. Maybe it's about finally waking up and realizing you were never supposed to be part of the hustle in the first place. Because the moment you stop measuring your worth in dollars, that's when you start living like you're free. You know, George Carlin had this magical thing he could do. He could make you laugh so hard that you didn't even realize you were learning something. That's the real art of it. He wasn't preaching. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't handing out manifestos. He was just standing there with that sly grin, a microphone, and a few decades worth of human nonsense to unpack. He didn't just use comedy to entertain, he used it to wake people up. That's what made him different. While everyone else was trying to make you forget your problems for an hour, Carlin was reminding you why you had them in the first place. And somehow, you loved him for it. Humor was his rebellion. It was his way of saying, hey, look around. Doesn't any of this strike you as completely ridiculous? He took the things people whispered about and said them out loud, with timing so sharp it could slice through hypocrisy like butter. He understood that if you make people laugh at the absurdity, they start to see it clearly. And once you see the absurdity, you can't unsee it. That's the moment when comedy stops being just entertainment and starts becoming a public service. Carlin used laughter as armor and as a weapon, not against people, but against nonsense. He found the humor in greed, in politics, in organized chaos, and he handed it back to the audience like a mirror. It wasn't just funny, it was therapy with punchlines. You'd go to a Carlin show, thinking you were there for a few laughs, and by the end, you'd realize he'd just given you a philosophy class with better lighting. He had this way of taking the everyday, advertisements, religion, news, patriotism, and stripping away the costume. He'd go, you notice how they say one thing and do another. And everyone would laugh, not just because it was funny, but because they'd thought it too. He gave people permission to think freely, to question authority, to challenge the illusion that everything was fine. He turned sarcasm into an art form and truth, telling into an Olympic sport. Carlin knew that in a world where people were too busy, too tired, too distracted, laughter could sneak in where logic couldn't. You could argue with facts, but you couldn't argue with a good joke that hits you in the gut. When he joked about politicians, he wasn't just taking cheap shots. He was showing you how language was being used to hide reality. He'd say something like, "They don't call it the War Department anymore. It's the Defense Department. They're defending something, all right. Their jobs." And suddenly, a whole room full of people would realize they'd been buying into the euphemisms. That's not just comedy. That's enlightenment with a laugh track. He understood that people are more willing to listen if they're laughing. It's easier to digest uncomfortable truths when they come wrapped in humor. It's like medicine in a spoonful of sugar. Except in Carlin's case, the sugar was sarcasm and the medicine was brutal honesty. He didn't want you to leave his shows angry. He wanted you to leave awake. He wanted you to laugh your way to awareness. And that's the brilliance of his legacy. He proved that humor can be resistance. When the system feeds you nonsense, when the news repeats slogans, when the dream feels like it's slipping away, laughter becomes a kind of rebellion. It's a way of saying, "I see what you're doing, and I'm not buying it." It's the refusal to take the absurd seriously. When you can laugh at the game, you take away its power. That's what Carlin did. He helped people see the joke behind the illusion. He wasn't bitter, though he could have been. He was amused. He saw the world as one big comedy club with terrible management. And he made it his mission to point out all the contradictions that everyone else politely ignored. You could almost hear him saying, "Look, folks, I don't make the rules, I just report them. And they're hilarious." He knew that laughter could do what anger couldn't: unite people. Everyone, rich or poor, left or right, could laugh at a Carlin joke because he was talking about the human condition, not just the headlines. And the way he delivered it, oh, it was poetry. The rhythm, the timing, the emphasis. He wasn't just telling jokes. He was conducting an orchestra of absurdities. Every pause was a drum beat, every punchline a cymbal crash. He'd take you up, bring you down, then land a truth so sharp it stuck with you long after the laughter faded. You'd find yourself at work the next day, staring at your computer, thinking, "Man, Carlin was right." What made his humor powerful was that it was never mean-spirited. He mocked systems, not individuals. He didn't hate people. He just didn't trust their institutions. He'd say things that made you laugh and wince at the same time, because deep down, you knew he wasn't wrong. It takes real talent to make people laugh at their own participation in the madness. He didn't just want to make fun of the world. He wanted people to see it, to look at the absurdity and realize they could rise above it by simply not believing in the nonsense anymore. Carlin's comedy wasn't about giving answers. It was about asking better questions. He didn't tell people what to think. He told them to think. That's a big difference. In a world full of noise, his voice was a reminder that humor could be a flashlight in the dark. You didn't have to agree with everything he said to feel its impact. You just had to recognize that he was fearless in saying it. He didn't tiptoe around sensitive topics. He danced right through them with a grin. And by the end, the audience wasn't offended. They were enlightened, even if they didn't realize it yet. And that's why his work still resonates. Because the absurdity he talked about wasn't bound to a year or a decade. It was about human nature, our endless ability to complicate simple things, to believe what we're told, to chase what we don't need. Carlin didn't lecture about morality. He pointed out the joke in our hypocrisy. He didn't tell you to change the world. He told you to laugh at it until you understood it well enough to do better. You see, when people laugh together, walls come down. Laughter levels the playing field. It doesn't matter who you are. If something's funny, it's funny. And in that shared moment, something powerful happens. You realize you're not crazy for seeing the madness. You're just awake. That's what Carlin gave people: permission to be awake in a world that keeps hitting the snooze button. And maybe that's the real heart of it. Carlin knew laughter wasn't just a reaction. It was a revolution in miniature. Every time someone laughed at one of his truths, they were breaking a little piece of the illusion. They were saying, I get it. I see the trick. And once you see it, you can't be fooled so easily again. That's the quiet, beautiful power of humor. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It just opens your eyes and lets you smile at what you see. So when we laugh at the madness, we're not giving up. We're fighting back the smartest way we can, by refusing to take the absurd seriously. Because when the world looks crazy, laughter is how we remind ourselves that we still see clearly. And that's the real dream. Not the one they sold us, not the one on the posters, but the one Carlin handed us with a grin and a punchline: a world where you're awake enough to laugh at the joke and wise enough to know you don't have to be part of it.